Start the actual talk TED part. I just want to say hi to everybody, shalom, and thank you very much Avi and Tova for all the good work that you guys did. This is such a cool Avi. Once again, little known fact is that actually Avi and I went to grade school together, and that we're both 40. Avi's 40th is this Friday, everybody. Mazal tov, happy birthday, Avi. All right. And I think that Avi's doing great work in Ariel. Isn't it amazing just to drive into Ariel, to see this big, beautiful, flourishing city? It's doing great in large measure to many people, but including Avi. Avi, thank you so much. I also want to recognize the fact that we have great folks here in the room, other than the speakers also. I see in the crowd a lot of my friends, the Wallers and the whole Hayovel organization that I love very much. My good friend Gideon. My good friend David Avery, my good friend Avi Abelo, and all the folks that are here that are doing great, great work. And it's just, truthfully, it's an honor to be with you. You called me a superstar. I take umbrage at that. I'm not a superstar, but I do work for superstars, and that's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, and Leah. Those are the great, famous people. Avi, you're doing great work. I'm doing great work. We will one day be in the grave, but Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be remembered. Of course, here, the tomb of Joseph. So thank you very much to them for letting us be the people that we are. Okay, you ready to begin? Or do you want to do the wave? You want to start the wave? No? Okay. All right, so I just want to make sure you guys are happy and in a good mood, and let's get to business. Hi, everybody. My name is Yishai Fleisher. I'm the international spokesman for the Jewish community of Hebron. Hebron, that's where the mothers and the fathers of the Jewish people are buried. But they're not just the mothers and fathers of the Jewish people, they're really the mothers and fathers of ethical monotheism. Today in Oxford, you could go study something called the Abrahamic faiths, which means that everything comes through Abraham, and all of us, certainly Jews, Christians, and Muslims, can trace their ideological outlook on the world, their religion, their philosophy to Abraham. And he's this great revolutionary superstar, and I have the great honor of representing the interests of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob internationally. That's a lot of fun for me. Today I want to talk a little bit about the end of the two-state solution and why the two-state solution was dead from the beginning. It was still born, right from the onset. And I want to start by telling you a little story that happened to me. You know, I work in Hebron, but strangely, I live on the Mount of Olives. Okay? I live on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. I work in Hebron. I drive every day for about an hour. In the morning, I look out my window, I see the Temple Mount. In the afternoon, I look out my window, and I see the tomb of the fathers and mothers in Hebron. It's a pretty good job, right? And a good life. We should realize how lucky we are in this generation to be living in a time when we can be in the land of Israel. And I live on the Mount of Olives. It's in a generally Arab neighborhood, not village, a neighborhood in Jerusalem, and it's called Ras El Amud. Ras El Amud. Now, for years I tried to shop in the Arab stores there, but basically after a few years I gave up. I tried to do it in order to encourage coexistence and those kind of feelings, but I found that they really didn't want me there. They basically explained to me that they are victims of the jihad. If I come into their store, somebody else is looking at them. And they're judged. And they're saying, why are you letting this mustautin, this settler, come into your store? What, are you friendly with the settler? And so they don't want that. And so therefore, my Arab neighbors are actually quite fearful of being judged by their society around them. They are the greatest victims of the jihad. Anyway, I stopped shopping in those stores because I saw that I was actually endangering them. One time, though, I walked past one of these stores in Ras El Amud, and I see a poster. The poster is of a fist smashing a Star of David. Now, I don't read Arabic. I speak a little bit, but I don't read Arabic. But I knew the store owner, and I just got so indignant, and I walked right into the store, and I said, Dude, Mazet, what is this supposed to be? You live in our city. You have the protection of our police. You have water running because of the state of Israel. This electricity comes from the state of Israel. What kind of thing is this? And you have next-door neighbor Jews. Right here, you're going to put a poster that shows a fist smashing the state of Israel, the Star of David. What kind of thing is this? And I started making a ruckus, because I was indignant. I was very upset at this, type of swastika, let's put it, something that's really calling for the destruction of my state. So he says to me, you Zionists, you Mustautin, you settlers, and he starts giving me the whole rant. Now, there was a few people in the store, and the people in the store all basically were like, okay, they scurried out of there. They don't want to, deal with the rumble. They're not interested in the mess. They were out. The minute they were all out, he comes close to my face. I know this guy for a long time. He comes right up to me. He says to me, don't be stupid. I said, what? I was like, what do you mean? He said to me, look, this poster, why do you think I put it? He says, do you even know what this poster says? I said, no, I don't know what it says. It says, don't purchase Israeli products. Boycott Israeli products. He said, Yishai, look at the poster. It says, boycott Israeli products. Now come here. Look in my fridge. It's all tsnuva, okay? Everybody knows I sell Israeli products. But I put this poster up as my insurance policy against those same jihadis that exist in Ras Al Amud and all of our neighborhood. And I have to show them that I'm cool with the jihad so that they don't torch my store. He says, this is my mezuzah. That was his little joke to me. And I was like, first thing I was like, I obviously do not understand what's happening underneath here. And that was the first part. He finishes right there and he says to me, this is my protection policy against the other guys. But then he adds another point and he says to me, will your police protect me if this place gets torched? Will your insurance companies make sure I get reciprocity for what happened to me? No, you won't watch out for me. Your police will not watch out for me. And therefore, I have to use these ridiculous methods. Although it's a lie, and you could see that all the products are from Tnuva, from Israeli products. Okay? So that just lets you in a little bit into the psychology of what's going on in the streets. Now, the reason I wanted to start with the story is to say to you something that needs to be said and said so clearly. Everybody has to, if you have to get one point out of what I'm saying, this is it. I represent the settlers. I represent the right wing. I prefer to use the word nationalist way of thinking. And you may think, and it has been said, and maybe the message is out there, that we, the right wing, the settlers, hate Arabs. And that our solutions, like our one-state solutions, the various ones of them, mean somehow oppressing Arabs, means taking away their liberties. I'm here to clarify to you that the right wing, the settler position, on a one-state solution means taking responsibility for the minorities living in our country. It actually means that Dawood would be protected from that kind of jihadist attack. And if indeed he got attacked, our police would make sure to protect him, and the insurance companies would pay off what he needs. We're here to take responsibility, not to pull our hands from responsibility. And that is a big and important statement. We're here to control this land, to be sovereigns in this land, and to make sure that our minorities that are going to be living inside, of course granted that they're non-seditious, non-jihadist minorities, those that accept the rule of the State of Israel, will be part of our sovereignty and will be protected, will be treated right. You got the caveat, okay? Right-wingers actually care about the people that we're sovereign over. Now, why are we settlers, quote-unquote? I'm using that term just so you all know what I'm talking about, right? Why are we settlers here in this land? We're here in this land because we love it. Because we've waited to be here for 2,000 years. This is the very essence of our story. Our fathers and mothers are buried here. They've walked this land, and we want to walk it too. We are just so excited. I know Ethiopian Jews, the old ones, they told me that the old Ethiopians, when they used to die, they would die with the word Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, on their lips. That's how they would die. That's how they would give their soul back to God, by saying Jerusalem. We have always yearned to be here. So part of it is a love affair, a love of the Bible, a love of our history, a love of spirituality, which is connected to this land. And that's the beautiful part. But here's another part. Another reason why we're here as settlers in the quote-unquote West Bank is because we want to stop the two-state solution. That's right. We want to stop, and have always wanted to stop the two-state solution. Not because, well, I hope that if the Arabs are nice, then somehow we'll give them the land, and then we'll all leave. No. I'm against, and have always been against, the two-state solution. Why? I'm going to give you 4 quick points on why the two-state solution was stillborn, was a wrong thing from the get-go. All right? You got it? 4 points. You guys will keep track with me. Here we go. 1, the two-state solution was incredibly ahistorical. Has anybody ever wondered this weird fact, why this fact exists, which is, how come Palestine wants to rise up exactly where the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people was? The Palestine that really, of the two-state solution, doesn't want to rise up in Tel Aviv. It wants to rise up exactly in the places of Hebron, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Bethel, Shiloh, Shechem, Nablus. Exactly in those places that are the heart of our narrative and our story. That's exactly where Palestine wants to rise up. Is that a little weird? Maybe Palestine isn't really about a Palestinian state, but about the erasure of our historical narrative. That's number 1. So therefore, if we went to a two-state solution, we were going to cut out our own history, on which much of the Zionism rests upon, the justification that we're from here. But if we're not from here and somebody else is there, like a Palestine, then we have no right to Tel Aviv. It has been said many times, if we have no right to live in Hebron, we have no right to live in Tel Aviv. That's point number 1. Point number 2 was that the other side, the interlocutors, were never going to accept a small, tiny state. It never made sense. And if you listen to Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's a very paternalistic offer he's making. You have to recognize me, only these certain borders, I will have security here and here, you can't have an airport, you can't have a port, a seaport, and of course you have to be demilitarized. What kind of offer is that? If it's really their land, then get the hell off and don't tell me how to run it. If it's not their land, then why are you making that offer? It doesn't make any sense. But that paternalistic type of offer, like, you can have a state, but exactly like this and like this and like this, it was never going to fly. Nobody was going to accept it. It was never going to work. So first is that it was unjust and ahistorical. And the second one is that the other side was never really going to be satisfied with it. And third, which is very, very important, is that I'm going to say something that Western ears love to hear. Watch this. This is really important to me, and I'm willing to compromise on it for peace. I'm willing to give it away, although I love it, because I want peace with you. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that sound amazing? Like something that I cherish in my heart, I'm willing to give you. Doesn't that sound beautiful? But that's not the way it sounds in Middle Eastern ears. Because you don't compromise on certain things. You don't compromise on your wife, right? What we say, I'm willing to talk about Jerusalem because I'm willing to give it up for peace. Here's what the Middle Eastern ear hears. Here's my wife. Take her. Do whatever you want. Just don't hurt me, right? I'm willing to do anything for peace. I'm scared. I'm willing to do anything. And the Middle Eastern ear hears, that guy's a jellyfish. That guy's spineless. I can't believe it. He just talked about Jerusalem. What's wrong with this guy that I'm talking with? He's a broken person. He's lost all of his dignity, manhood, all of his. He's willing to give up on the things that are most important to him. That means he's not a person. As they say in Yiddish, a nitken mensch. He's not a person. So whenever you talked about two-state solution in the Western ear, it was like, that is beautiful. And the Middle Eastern ear is like, that guy is a loser, and we're going to crush him in time. Let's take what we can get now and keep going. That is why the two-state solution has always been shooting itself in the foot. It was always going to actually whet the appetite of the jihad, because it says that other party, Israel, is weak. Lastly, and very importantly, the two-state solution. So far, are you with me? Okay? Lastly, the two-state solution was, number 4, is simply an empirical failure. We have tested it. It is one of the best tested political solutions of all time. We have tested it in South Lebanon. We walked out and we gave South Lebanon back to the Lebanese. We walked out of Sinai. We walked out of Judea and Samaria. And we walked out of Gaza. Every single one of those has turned into our cancer. Every single one of those has become a forward base of the jihad, including the much-loved Sinai Accords, which for a long time is what the left held on to as the pinnacle of peace. Today, it's full of ISIS, and they're shooting rockets at us. You walk out of these places, you broadcast a message of fear, of weakness, and those very places have become the centers, the forward bases of the jihad, especially the last one, Gaza. Guys, people like myself were saying that if we walked out of Gaza, in a year it would be a terrorist state. And we were wrong. It took 6 months, okay? And it became one of the worst terror states that we're dealing with, and we have now fought 3 wars in 7 years. Ouch. Bad move. And so the two-state solution is been an empirical failure. So when somebody says to you, let's keep going with the two-state solution, you have to ask them, like, hasn't it been already debunked? The problem is, and here's the kind of crux of what I'm trying to say, is that while what I'm saying makes kind of patently clear logic, it's very hard for a state, which can be likened to a aircraft carrier, to turn around. It's very hard to say, oops, policy mistake, no biggie, let's back out of it, right? No biggie. Very hard for a state to do. It's also very hard to do because there's a lot of people who are making their money and their livelihood and their professorship or whatever in positions they've been saying two-state solution forever, like parrots. What are they going to do now? Oops, everybody's fired. Don't worry about it. That PhD paper I wrote is meaningless. It was stupid. Sorry. You can't do it. It's not easy. It's not easy for people to pull out. But here's the ridiculous situation that happens. People like Prime Minister Netanyahu will get up there and say, I believe in a two-state solution. But it can't really happen right now. How does that sound? Does that sound hopeful? It sounds dumb. It sounds like you're either tap dancing around the issues or you're kind of like fudging it. I want to give you a two-state, but it's not really going to happen because you're bad and we'll have to wait. In the meantime, I have a settlement policy. Europeans are telling us all the time, hey guys, you can't have in a tiny little landmass a two-state solution and a settlement policy. Guess what? They're right. It's simple. It's a simple math. You can't have in a tiny little area a two-state solution and settlements growing all the time. And what we're doing by telling people that we want a two-state but not going for it and it's never really going to happen is frustration. Frustration for the international community, which is like, when are you guys going to move it forward? But we're really not going to move it forward. Frustration for the Arabs. Well, are we going to two-state? Should I get used to a jihadist rule over me? Or am I going towards being a resident of Israel, maybe a citizen, and live a decent life? Well, which one is it? I don't know what to hope for. We're causing tremendous frustration because we're not telling the truth. So here we go. I'm going to tell you the truth, folks. We plan on staying in Judea and Samaria. We plan on annexing Judea and Samaria. We plan on being sovereign in Judea and Samaria. And back to what I told you originally, we plan on taking responsibility over Jews, over Arabs, and other minorities in Judea and Samaria. That's where the future is. And the rest, it's not going to happen. Two states not going to happen. It's a lie. It's a failed experiment. We know where it leads, and it leads nowhere. I recently wrote an article in the New York Times outlining 5 solutions, 5 alternative solutions, or really 5 solutions that are alternative to the two-state solution, okay? Whenever they've told us for a long time now, for more than a quarter of a century, they've told us that the two-state solution is the only solution. When somebody tells me something is the only, I'm just like, already I don't trust them, You gotta buy this car. This is the car. This is the only car for you. Well, there's another car out there, buddy. Don't sell me something. It's the only solution. Well, I can tell you what for sure. It's the only tested and failed solution. That's for sure. So people say to me after a talk like this, they say to me, okay, so what's your solution? And I say, everybody stop. Because the question that you just heard, that's the most important question. When somebody says to you, well, what's your solution? Is there an alternative to the two-state solution? Right there, we have reached a milestone. Thank God. Shechiana v'kiyman. Thank God that we came to a moment that we can actually think past that calcified and rotted old idea of the two-state solution. Just that very question, is there an alternative, will lead us to health, will lead us to new horizons and new opportunities. And that's what Talk17 is about. It's really about saying, well, is there alternatives? There must be. There must be, because we're smart, thinking people. We want a better future for all of us. The question is more powerful than the answer, and the future is exciting. Israel is a great country. It's going to give great opportunities to people who choose to accept the fact that it's a Jewish state and want to live under it. They will have every opportunity for upward mobility, for health, for education, for making a difference in this world. Those people who cannot accept a Jewish state, for one reason or another, they'll have to find their self-determination elsewhere. Israel is a tiny country in this region, and it has to remain strong, and it also has to embrace all the people that live within it, of course, if they embrace us back. I want to thank you very much for your time. God bless you guys. And may we see new solutions and new alternatives come up soon. Thank you.